Hello, Paul Cousineau here from the Digital Navigator, and in this video we're going to be looking at some of the business models as well as relative pricing and volume for producing your different contents and your offerings in the space of selling informational products, digital content, consulting, training, and other services in the online space. And it's going to be in relative term because for some of you, your high-end product might be a few $100s or $1,000, and for other ones, it might be $100,000. So that's why it will be relative. And then we'll be taking a look at how much content you should be producing and the type of contents that you can produce for each of the different levels. So we have this trusty whiteboard here that I've been enjoying. More and more now as I'm getting more familiar with this technology. I always have to tell myself this is just like writing on a normal piece of paper, which is harder to tell yourself than it might seem. But here we go. So then up here, we're going to have the volume of content. I guess you can have those arrows like that. Okay, and this is going to be how much you're charging, like this. And then here we're going to have, in terms of the type of content, you're going to have ideas and thoughts. And then as we get lower on the vertical scale, actually, let's put it on the right side here, like that. Okay, so this will be application. Okay. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know that there's a dot here. Okay, there's a little button on the pen, and that's kind of like what's distracting me. So, okay, so what we're going to do now is that we're going to create this arrow like this. And then this will be your business model. And how that works is that up here in this particular area, you're not going to be charging a lot of money for this, and you're going to have a lot of free content. And this is also what we used to say in the other video, which was your TOFU, which is your top of funnel. And the goal here, again, is to generate a lot of awareness. Now, you can review some of our other videos if you need a review of this. And we also have a certification on content marketing that you can go through, which is about 8 to 10 hours. That goes in more detail. But in this phase of awareness, you're going to be creating a lot of content that is thought-provoking, that give people ideas so that they can widen the net of their business, that they can think what is possible for them. So let's use a very specific example. Let's say that you are in the speaking space, because I know a lot of people that are following us are actually in that particular space. So up here in that area, you could have your podcasts, you might have blogs, you might have Facebook Lives, you may be doing live presentations as well in your area. But it would be about getting people to think how they can use speaking in their business model. Let's say that your avatar is entrepreneurs and businesses, salespeople. And then you would have perhaps different methods that they can actually use speaking. Like, what are the types of presentations? There's content-driven presentations that get you a lot of value and visibility. There's sales presentations. There's demo presentations. There's presentations that increase your authority. Let's say that you were on TEDx. There's many kinds of presentations, and you could do guest presentations to leverage someone else's authority. Perhaps you would be you'd be interviewed by a well-known podcaster. All of these ideas would be the type of content that you would generate up here. And this can be mostly free because that'll generate awareness. And if you have a lot of it, then you could package that and offer it as a low-end product. So let's say here you would have free or $1 sign. And then once you go down here, and this is another way of looking at the middle of funnel and then bottom of funnel approach, using specifically your business model in your sales. In your middle of funnel, your goal here is to move towards, and let's try if we can get the dot here. Oh, no, I still can't. Well, that's an interesting thing. Oh, there we go. Is to move towards application. Now you're going to be helping people implement some of these different ideas. So let's say that here, right, that was you would package all these ideas and you'd have it either free or you know, maybe $97. Maybe you're doing a virtual summit and then you have a lot of guests, and then after that you would sell that VIP pass. So that's kind of like a hybrid. Oh, this is supposed to be an or here. Oh, yeah, so I'll have to figure out what goes on with this pen, because it seems like when I hit it at first, it does like a click. Yeah. And then in your middle of funnel, here you could do a masterclass. And then you could do a webinar. You could do a deep dive article as well. That would really work. And what I mean by a deep dive article is one that actually shows people specific how to do it. So I'll just put that here so that we have it as a reference, and then we'll continue with our speaking example. Oh, deep dive article. And this one, how you want to position it. Yeah, that is a very interesting thing. Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to do it fast. So here, you're gonna have people spend either time or, well, whatever, we got it, or more money. This is your mode of payment here. And there we go. So let's use this speaking example. If you did a deep dive article, you might actually be able to do a complete 4,000 or 5,000 word blog on how to get on TEDx and explain very specific steps of how that would work out. And you'd see, well, step one, you got to get maybe your one-sheeter. Step two, you got to go on this website. Here you got to find where all the different areas are. You got to find the organizers. You got to submit your application this way. This is how you're going to create your 15-minute talk. But you would give them all the different steps. So in the first area where you were producing a lot of content, you were giving them ideas, and one of them is to do a TEDx. And then here, you're actually going to explaining that to them. Now, if you don't do it in a deep dive article, you can do it in a webinar, which I really see as a seminar. It's just supposed to be an online seminar. Sometimes these can be hokey, so don't do the hokey webinar. Do an actual value-added webinar. And that's actually known as a masterclass. Now, you could teach to people for, I don't know, 40 minutes to an hour how to actually get on a TEDx. And you would walk them through the steps, and maybe you even give them a handout with that. And at the end of all of these would be people that would be a little bit warmer. So up here we have our colder leads, and then here we have our hot leads. Because they're getting warmer, you can have a more specific call to action, which would be to get your bottom of funnel content. And in here, I'm just gonna have, you know, you could have your workshops. And then here you could have your one-on-one. You could have a mastermind. Or you would have, I'll just call it a, I was going to say elite product. That doesn't really sound right. And flagship product, it could be, but your flagship product could be here. So I'll just, yeah, we'll just stick here with the dollar signs that we've got here. Well, let's just say, oh, yeah, you have a chance to see my beautiful handwriting. And high-end product. which could be, for example, depending on your industry, right? That could be a $2,500, $3,000 training, and it could be digital. It could be a series of group type delivery, but it can also be a very high-end product. Like I know some people that have $100,000 product, and what they do is they help you build a certification with what you're actually teaching. So that would all fall down here. So going back now to this example, if you had your TEDx presentation, you're explaining how people in that masterclass or webinar exactly how to get on a TEDx and how to, get the structure for being on the panel. Then here you could have a call to action and say, okay, well, come to my calendar and we will actually discuss the specifics of what your topic could be and if that can actually work for your business. You have to solve a real problem. Don't make it too generic. So make it very, very specific. And then from there, I'm also going to be discussing ways that we could build your specific talk. And then your one-on-one services could be crafting their entire TEDx talk with them and then building a promotional campaign afterwards. Because you can be on TEDx and you get visibility, but after that, let the dust settle and then not really benefit from it in your long-term in your business. So then you would have a form of offering that could help them build their whole media campaign around that TEDx, and then that would be sold. So here you would have that call to action. Now, at the end of your masterclass or at that deep dive article, you could also mention a live in-person or offline workshop, and that would just be a continuation of what you were talking about. So again, here you could have a workshop on how to build the perfect TEDx talk, as well as increase your business visibility through that. And then you would go to similar of what you would have done in the one-on-one, but more in like of a group setting. And then that could be a one-day workshop, half-day workshop. That could be a weekend, however, your business model works around that. But obviously here, right, we have the volume, high volume, and then low volume. So your master classes, let's say that here you were publishing content every once or twice a week. You could have a podcast, you could have an article, you could have maybe an online summit that you deliver, a virtual summit once or twice a year. Then here in the middle of the funnel, you could have perhaps every 2 or 3 weeks a masterclass, or you would release a deep dive article every quarter, and then those would start to become known in your industry, in your niche. And then after that, you could have your paid workshops, however often you want to choose, but maybe that's once or twice a month. Maybe you start a mastermind twice a year. Your high-end product, you perhaps have 5 different clients, but you're not going to be able to have a really high volume. The more refined your experience here and your promise and your delivery happens. Now, if it is a high-end, fully recorded digital products, like you've seen a lot of people that are known as like gurus in the industry, they have like a $2,000 program, like the Ask Method with Ryan Levesque, which I've actually personally attended, followed, and I think those are great techniques. So you could develop a product like that, which would not require you to do a lot of investments. One, it is created in terms of time, but even with those products from the gurus, today have a lot of interaction. And they've got Q&A calls, bonuses, they've got a community around it, and that you would have to take a look what your business model is like and how you like to work with people. So now your next step is to really consider where are the gaps in your business model, and really flesh out that full business model for yourself and determine each of the content that you're producing, and those digital content, those products, those offerings, where do these sit on that spectrum? The higher volume and then the lower volume with the sales, and then ultimately saying, well, is the goal of this article or this podcast meant to create ideas and thoughts, or is that more towards the very, very specific application? And the more you help on application, then the more value that has. And then how are you going to bridge the gap here? So that middle piece tends to be that pivot point where you can move a cold lead that's been warmed up and becomes a hot lead into buying some of your products that are actually profitable. You might not be making a lot of money in that middle of the stage, but again, that'll depend on how much you're charging for these, or if this is free. Again, this is Paul Cousineau from the Digital Navigator. Leave any comments that you have and questions. We'll be more than happy, myself and the team, to give you some pointers and help you apply this concept in your own business so that ultimately you can have a more profitable digital content business.